Michigan State, Ole Miss, Sweet 16, and I'm back on a video with you. It feels good, my friend. I appreciate the coverage that you've given this channel across all things, but I've especially enjoyed listening to you talk about your Michigan State Spartans. Shout out to Riley Davis for stepping in for us the last couple of weeks. But I'm back, and I'm ready to talk about my Spartans once again, Cart. We've got a Final Four to get to, and Chris Beard stands in the way. How you feeling about this one?
Yeah, look, I feel good about being at this point. I think that, struggle and a half versus Bryant, right? And then had the struggles against New Mexico, end up pulling it off. Jace plays bad. I think you feel good about playing in the Sweet 16 right now with how you played so far, outside of like the second half against Bryant. But you are going to have to come with some better play in this game. 'Cause, I mean, I feel like you and I maybe be the only two people who have given like Ole Miss the credit they deserve throughout this whole season. I actually had Ole Miss in at this part of my bracket facing off against Michigan State, so like I stood on business with that. I love this Ole Miss team. I think they're old. I think they play hard as hell, and I think Chris Beard is a really good basketball coach. And they played in the SEC. They have some of the best wins this year. Like they won in Tuscaloosa against Bama. Like that's an impressive win. They played Auburn very tough. I give them credit for that. I thought they almost should have got Auburn. I think it was the first matchup it was, but um this Ole Miss team is also shooting the ball extremely well right now. They're like 50% from the field and like almost 50% from three, I think, this tournament run, and that comes against a good Iowa State defense too. So they're a dangerous team that you can't overlook. I would think I would constitute it as that.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you there.
hmm
I don't think you believe yourself.
Like as far as not overlooking them.
I think you saying, "Yeah, they're a dangerous team. You can't overlook them here." I don't think you actually believe that.
Well,
I think
here's
you're
where I'm at.
saying the right things.
I'm very confident that Michigan. I feel good about this matchup. If that makes sense.
I think you feel as great as you could feel about a Sweet 16 matchup here, and I think you're trying to play poker face that this is a game. Which is totally fair because I actually do really like this Ole Miss team. I think there's a lot of reasons to believe Michigan State has a perfect matchup here that we can get into. But I guess the general consensus I feel like I'm hearing, feeling everything from all Michigan State people that I engage with is like green light. This is good for us. Let's go. And I think you as the person who does the previews and recaps are doing a good job of like, let's tone it down a little. But I also think if I strapped you to a lie detector test right now, you would agree with everybody else that this is like, let's run these dudes out of the gym type game.
Yeah, would never ever let you hook me to a lie detector test. Want to let that be known by right now. But I mean, there's an element to that. I feel good about this. I do. Ole Miss is one of the worst defensive rebounding teams in the country. Michigan State is very good in the offensive glass. There's a lot of games you can point to this. I actually hold on. As I looked this up, I did shout out to my guy. I was talking with Jake Shem earlier. And he pulled out a pretty good stat that I think is worthy of reading on here. It basically, I'll pull up the exact stats of what it was, but it was centered around the fact that Ole Miss has had games this year where they've been like unconscious from three, but they lose the rebounding battle by like 10, right? Or they lose it by like 12 or 15, something, some crazy number like that, and they still lose the basketball game. Like this team very much struggles on the offense, like to secure rebounds, right? And for a team that is shooting as well as three as Ole Miss in this tournament, the fact that Michigan State is currently the number one team defensively in the country against a three-point shot, and you and I both know it seems that teams struggle to hit threes against Michigan State. You would think there'd be a little bit of regression as far as Ole Miss shooting 50% from three in the tournament. So, yeah, there's a lot of things I can point to that make me feel really good about this matchup. The one thing I will say, though, is that even if things point to things being great about the matchup, is that Chris Beard is Chris Beard, and I trust Chris Beard, the basketball coach. I think he's really good at that.
Yeah, I do think that's the one caveat, but yeah, I you're right. You're right. That's the point. I'm trying to just like get you to speak honestly. because I agree with it for the most part that this is like as ideal of an opponent as Michigan State could get in this spot for a couple of reasons categorically. Number one, just point blank, it's the Sweet 16. You're supposed to be down to the best 16 teams in the country. And Ole Miss is the 21st best team in the country. Per Ken Palm, they're the third worst team left in the tournament. You're getting a six seed that has had a good season, certainly not a great season, that I think is probably a little bit like, oh, we got here. Like, that's cool. I don't think they expected to like make an Elite Eight run here. I don't think they expect to beat Michigan State whatsoever. Secondly, I think at this point and with this Michigan State team, it would be a big boost if you have a guy that could kind of like go be the guy and take you to a win. I don't think this Ole Miss team does. And maybe that's a good thing. I don't mean to discredit them. Sean Padula is very good. They got a lot of different guys who can beat you. Malik Diaz won them games. Brakefield, Dre Davis have won them games. Like they got a lot of good players, but they don't have the Donovan Dent figure that is like a dude who can step up. We previewed like what if you play Marquette, like Cam Jones could superhero his team to a win against Michigan State. Ole Miss just straight up doesn't have anyone who's going to superhero them to a win over this Michigan State team. So they're either going to have to hope that like Michigan State goes full on St. John's stinker, can't make a shot, or in general, the all six of Ole Miss's players are better than the dude across from them. But that seems unlikely because Michigan State's just so deep, so good, and we've so rarely this season see a full team beat the Michigan State team. You know?
Yeah, you don't think Padula's got any of that to him?
No, I think he's really good. Don't think uh, don't think he's the guy to go dominate Michigan State's guards.
Okay, I feel like that's fair. I mean, and on the flip side of that, I feel good about Michigan State's guards with Padula. Padula's listed at 6'1". I doubt he is that. And I kind of just trust Michigan State's guards against him. But he is coming off back-to-back 20-point games. You know, I'm not saying I'm not saying he's in the same level as the guys you just mentioned, but I do think that he has the ability to do that. But on the flip side of that, I feel good about Michigan State's guards matching up with him.
Back to back Ken Palm MVPs. He has been sensational in the tournament. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it. Maybe I'm being disrespectful of him, but I don't think that's a matchup he's looking at X's and O's wise where he's like, oh, I can get off today. I don't see that. You mentioned a couple of these things, but huge keys to this game that favor Michigan State, in my opinion. Ole Miss just can't rebound. They don't rebound. They're not good at it on either end. This is one of the worst rebounding high major teams in the sport. They don't generate second chances, 314th in offensive rebounding, and they barely rebound misses on the defensive end, 226th in defensive rebounding percentage. So Michigan State top 20 in offensive rebounding, top 10 in defensive rebounding. Isn't this just a game where you flat out dominate the boards?
Yeah, I think they do. And like, can I go coach speak real quick here?
Do it.
Defend the 3-point line and rebound. I think we have no worries in this basketball game.
Yep.
I legit feel that way. And it's simple, but I think it truly is the story. If you rebound on both ends of the floor and you defend the 3-point line, which Michigan State does very well, everything else will take care of itself in this basketball game. And I think you honestly win easily.
Yeah. So that was kind of thing number one that I think is Michigan State's like go zone. Like perfect. Shitty rebounding team. We're gonna punk them. Thing number two, Ole Miss can't stop fouling ever. They're 317th in defensive foul rate. They foul all game. It's part of their game plan. They don't mind guys getting in foul trouble. And that obviously, very obviously, with the way Jeremy Fears is playing right now, is going to put Michigan State to the free throw line a ton, I think. Where you guys are stellar, right? You're the 26th best free throw shooting team in the sport right now. That's actually dipped a lot because you guys have been randomly slumping from the free throw line for like 3 weeks now. But still a great free throw shooting team. So like you're gonna win boards. Aren't you also gonna get like 20 free throws in this game minimum?
Yeah, probably. You just got to make them. Even though they've been bad as of late, which is killing me.
Can I get a quick assessment of that whole part of this team's run right now from your perspective? You know that I've made jokes about it privately, but like, are you loving the way y'all are getting to the free throw line lately?
I mean, not necessarily. I put it like this. You would probably hate Jeremy Fears if he wasn't on your team. If he was, you would just be like, yeah, I love it.
I don't love it. I
Yeah,
don't I don't love
I know
watching
it. Oh,
Vlad do it.
I know it drives you nuts.
I don't love watching Vlad do it on my
Yeah.
team. I don't love watching Fletcher Lawyer do it on Purdue. I don't love watching and Jeremy's better than the other two at this point. He's somebody tweeted at me, just stay in front. And I said, well, even if you can't stay in front, you can't stay behind or to the left or right either. You can't stay anywhere near him or you're gonna foul him.
Well, here's what I'll say. Shame on anyone for jumping at a Jeremy Fears pump fake.
Yeah, I know that happens sometimes. I think guys are getting jumped into a lot.
Yeah.
He's really good. And this is I like I'm frustrated by it because I just hate watching this brand of basketball. But
Mhm.
true credit where credit is due. I don't know how you avoid fouling him. He's too quick. He gets by everybody in transition. He initiates the contact. Most of these are probably fouls you should call. But it's just like he would rather jump into a guy than make a layup. And it's working right now. Like this tournament is he's getting everybody in foul trouble. He's getting the free throw line, he's playing well. So yeah, against an Ole Miss defense that fouls a bunch, I think that's going to be a huge part of this game.
Definitely.
There's one other thing I think. Oh yeah, they kind of stink at guarding the rim. 209th in 2 point percentage defense. And obviously, the Michigan State offense is like a lot better inside than it is outside.
I mean, they're not that big, really.
Yeah.
Like Malik D is. I think they list him as 6'9". I thought he was like 6'8". So like this isn't the big. I mean, they're big as far as like wing position, but they don't got like a 6'11" or 7 footer kind of down there, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, like, you're going to get all the free throws you want. You're going to get whatever you want at the rim. You're going to get all the rebounds you want.
Yeah.
Aren't those the top three things you want in every single game?
Yeah, that'd be the three things I would ask for. Yeah.
And Ole Miss can't put up any resistance to it.
hmm
So, what does Ole Miss exploit from Michigan State here? Is there anything that they can do?
I mean, if they continue to hit threes at the rate they are, then I think it makes it difficult. But I guess you'd have to see what that looks like. It's not like teams haven't hit threes against Michigan State this year. But I think it's gonna be a big factor. They have legit been on fire the past two games from three. So if they keep that up, then they surely have a chance.
I think you'd expect some regression there, if anything, though. Like, team that shot 55% from three last game probably shoots like 20% this game.
Can I go a non-stat reason why?
Yeah, of course.
I actually mentally like this Ole Miss team and how they're made up. They're
I
like
do too.
they're old, they have shit to them. We've kind of like related it to like the old Penn State Shrewsbury teams that kind of just hit. Ole Miss has a little bit of that to them. Where Michigan State does try to, you know, get up in people's shit. I don't think Ole Miss is backing down from that. They might foul you when they get up to it, but they're not going to back down from it.
They are the third oldest team in college basketball. And yeah, I think you and I talked about it a lot in November. We like kind of fell in love with this team in the neutral games and those tournaments in Feast Week where like we want to bet this team to make a tournament run. And I believe you and I both picked them to make it to this point, make the Sweet
Yeah.
16. So like we have a lot of respect for Ole Miss. I just if I'm Ole Miss trying to talk myself into a win, this is like the last team I want to see
Oh,
because
yeah, no, I agree with you. And there was another note that I said as far as what Ole Miss needs to do too. They need to take advantage of two things. When Michigan State, if they have like that offensive drought, right, where they're not able to score points, you have to find a way to win like that 4 minute stretch sometimes where they struggle, right? Like they were struggling in the New Mexico game to score the ball. Also, New Mexico couldn't score, so they couldn't create any separation there. And then also on the same token, you need to punish Izzo for playing two bigs. If he is going to, if he- You need to win all the Zapala minutes,
yeah.
however many it is, you need to win those because I talk about it being undersized, but like if they play like Brakefield at the four or at Brakefield and Dia, right? You could have those guys putting the ball on the floor against Kohler or against Zapala, and that could keep them off guard. I think this needs to be a pretty big Cohen Carr game if they're gonna try to just attack those guys off the dribble a lot. Um, but yeah, if I'm Ole Miss, I'm being like if they're gonna play Zapala, even if it's 4 minutes, you got to win that four.
Yeah, what's your take on I tweeted about it. I feel like we're past the point of just starting Zapala just to get his 4 minutes and get out. Now,
Don't get
against
it.
New Mexico, they played him 11 minutes, so that kind of got shoved back in my face. But he started this game, played 2 minutes, got abused, gave up like two scores, smoked a layup himself. And then they took him out, and I'm like, he's probably not going to check back in. They're just
Mhm.
doing the thing to start him for no reason. Now that ended up wrong. They ended up playing him 11 minutes last game, but I've had a lot of people respond to me that's like, oh, they do this to keep Cooper out of foul trouble, which would be the first time that I've ever heard of a team auto benching a player before a game starts. That would be a new one. We're gonna auto bench Carson Cooper before a game begins. Um, what do you? What's your stance on this?
I don't want him to take his warm up off. I'm sick of this dance.
Do you have a reason for why they're doing it still? Is it just if it ain't broke, don't fix it?
That's the only reason. And even if it, even if it's not broken, like prevent it breaking.
Yeah. Okay. Just for the record, Carson Cooper hasn't even picked up a fourth foul since February 15th. So like you don't need to prevent Carson Cooper of all people from foul trouble. If you think he's better than Zapala, just play him from the jump.
Yeah,
I don't really get it, but
yeah, that makes sense.
um, but anyways, ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah.
It's
To conclude this, I think you're right that Ole Miss is not going to get punked. The one thing I really do believe here is that Ole Miss will make Michigan State earn this game with basketball plays and not all their mental, emotional, chaotic evil that wins them some games.
mm,
You're going to have to earn it by like put orange thing in 10-foot thing, not yell, scream, free throws. You might be able to get enough free throws to get there, to be honest. But like I think Ole Miss has enough poise and experience to just make you earn this. I think you probably need a good Jace Richardson game. Like, can you beat Ole Miss if Jace Richardson is as bad as he was last game?
no. If we play like we did against New Mexico, I think we lose this game.
Do you have any reason to believe that Jace Richardson will not break out of this slump? Like, what do you make of his struggles?
I truly thought that's a one-off thing. I I would bet any money in the world that he's good this game.
The start of the Bryant game was similar, though. That's the only reason I'm a little like, let's monitor this.
Yeah, but he didn't pick it up at the end of the Bryant game.
He did, Bryant.
Yeah,
But I like basically we're coming off a full season where I've never seen the guy get starstruck. And I feel like in both of the two NCAA tournament games thus far, he's been like very passive.
yeah. The air ball was crazy, the wide open one.
The air ball was weird. Clearly, that was in his head. But even before, like the first 4 or 5 times he touched the ball against New Mexico, he just like didn't convert plays he normally attempts. He just
Yeah,
like dribbled and then kicked out, and it's like attack. What are you doing?
yeah. I'm
So
just,
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not concerned.
Okay, I don't think I would be either. But
Give me 2 minutes into the game though. I will be texting you saying it's over if God forbid he dribbles off his leg.
yeah, I just come out like he did in the Michigan game. Clearly, he's a big moment guy. He's done it a bunch this season. Just come out, attempt a step back three, watch it go in, and get your mojo back, and then
Yeah, that's probably it. First shot's gonna be big.
yeah.
He's out to get a
Lastly,
dunk.
you touched on it really briefly, but I want to come back to it because to me, if you are trying to figure out what is the path for Ole Miss here, the number one thing that I would believe is just this: Chris Beard's a really effing good coach. What is your analysis on the coaching matchup between Izzo and Beard?
I fear Beard. I think he's a great basketball coach. And I think that you need to have a certain level of coaching acumen to like attack and know what to do. Like there's certain coaches that you and I talk about in these previews, like what they should do and how they should attack. But we don't truly believe that the coach is gonna like implement that or the coach is thinking about how he should do that. I don't doubt that with Chris Beard whatsoever. Like he's gonna know, he's gonna have a game plan. He's He's going to feel good about that game plan, and he's going to execute the game plan. Now, will it work? That's not a given, right? But I don't think you ever worry about a Chris Beard team coming in here without like void of a vision. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, looking back when Chris Beard played Michigan State in the Final Four at Texas Tech, I'm sure
Rather
Michigan
not
State
talk
fans are
about it.
shivering. I mean, he held a Cassius Winston team to 0.85 points per possession.
hmm
Like it was great execution by his players, but like he had the scout ready on how to
Yeah.
beat that team. And I think if there is one thing that would give me hope as an Ole Miss fan, I think it's like Beard's probably not afraid of this. Beard is
No.
probably looking at this Michigan State team of like, there are ways to beat this offense. And we'll see if his players can step up and do it. But
Thanks.
he's one of the only coaches in the country I think you'd put up against Tom Izzo and do a little like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Not saying Beard's better, but like normally it's like, oh, Izzo's going to win the coaching matchup. This feels like an even coaching matchup.
Yeah. Beard Woodson. Those are the two.
That's crazy. Prediction time. Ken Palm has Michigan State favored by 73 to 70. What do you think?
You know those moments where like we look at a line and we're like, what is that? And then like we go back and we're like, oh yeah, that's why maybe it was that because it ended like that. This isn't one of those ones. If I'm going to get actually 3 points, I think Michigan State wins this game by double digits.
Same recipe as always, like close game first half, stretch it out late.
No, actually, no. I think that it's established early that we're going to dominate the glass. We're going to defend the 3 point line. And I think we're going to, if we don't shoot well or shoot enough, we'll get it back and score.
So I think one of two things is going to happen here. I think either Michigan State is going to look up in this arena in Hotlanta, as Tom Izzo calls it, and see Vlad Golden and Dusty May and Fat Brooks in the tunnel. And it's going to give them a little PTSD, a little deja vu to Gamebridge Fieldhouse a week ago in Indianapolis. The last time that Michigan State played the early game of a back-to-back that Michigan was waiting in the second game, knowing that they could potentially meet one game later. And then Michigan State had a stinker, lost to Wisconsin. And then in the handshake line, Jace Richardson said John Tonji was his vote for player of the year. I think one of two things will happen, Cart. Either that script continues and Michigan State loses with a stinker. And then in the post-game handshake line, Jace Richardson tells Chris Beard, you were my vote for coach of the year. Or you're right, and Michigan State wins this comfortably. I believe Michigan State will win this comfortably.
Was it Big Ten Network that came out with that clip?
Yes.
They're on my shit list.
Hey, just make sure, if Ole Miss wins this game, make sure you give them their flowers for how great and impressive and awesome they are. You know,
Sue me.
but they're not going to because this is a great matchup for Michigan State.
I agree.
And psychologically, we'll touch on this, the Michigan Auburn one. Once you guys win this game, I'm terrified of what it means for my team. I'm so afraid of it. We'll see. We'll have a recap up later. Thanks for watching.
It is March, and that means that March Madness is upon us. And if you are looking for a place to play, Underdog Fantasy has you covered. Sign up and deposit using code SLEEPERS, that's code SLEEPERS, to receive up to $1,000 in bonus credit plus a free pick. Head over to Underdog Fantasy today and use promo code SLEEPERS to take advantage of this amazing offer.